What's going on, everyone? I am Jaye Black. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. I got to talk about this article from Fox News. This is actually something that's been out for a couple of days, but it's kind of went in depth about actress Emma Watson. Some of you may know her from Harry Potter. She was also in Beauty and the Beast. Well, she's approaching 30, and she is having a reflection on herself and her situation as far as relationships and marriage is concerned, and she is deciding that it is best to just be with yourself, to date yourself, to basically be an incel. And I made a video about femcels months back. I may end up reposting that video, or may even do updated content. I think this is very interesting because in today's age, there are a lot more femcels than people realize. There's a lot of single women out here, man. Me being, a melanated man, I've seen in my own community that there's a high number of single women, and you're starting to see that number rise in other communities as well. Emma Watson, she is Caucasian, and you're seeing it in the Caucasian community to a lot of more single women. And because of the embracing of feminist ideology, they are embracing being alone and being single, being promiscuous. Because trust me, I don't think that she's staying away from, having relations like that. But she's probably going through periods of just loneliness, But let's get into this article, okay? It says Harry Potter star Emma Watson says she isn't single, calls it self-partnered, whatever that means. Emma Watson is opening up about her life as she approaches 30. The former Harry Potter star spoke candidly in an interview with British Vogue about the tough years she has had because she had all these ideas about what she would be at this stage of her life. I was like, why does everyone make such a big fuss about turning 30? This is not a big deal, she told the magazine for their December cover issue. Cut to 29. I'm like, oh my God, I feel so stressed and anxious. And I realize it's because there is suddenly this bloody influx of subliminal messaging around. If you have not built a home, if you do not have a husband, if you do not have a baby and you're turning 30, and you're not in some incredibly secure, stable place in your career, or you're still you're still figuring things out, there's just this incredible amount of anxiety. I could see young women in their 20s, having this mindset, but you got to understand this. Emma Watson has been famous for a long time. Since the early 2000s? So I'm pretty sure, because she spent her teen years being a star, being a celebrity, and I'm pretty sure she made her own decisions, lived her own life, and maybe she wasn't able to grow and be a teen and make mistakes and not be in the public eye and not have a lot of money. Maybe she just didn't have that time. But again, you've been making adult decisions for a long time. And there are women her age who are in the industry who are married, who have kids. At 29, I think that Emma Watson has been in relationships, but I just feel like because of her ideology, they just don't mesh. I think she's highly confused about what she wants, even at 29. And what's very interesting is that you will have people that will say women are more, they're more, they mature more than men. But even at 29, you still have women who are still confused about what they want in life, the type of men that they want, the type of life that they want to live. That is why when I make content the way that I make it from a red pill perspective, not only for men to understand, but for women to understand as well. To understand, unless you can unlock your mind and really open yourself up to all the possibilities that you could have, you should find happiness in whatever it is that you do, and not care what other people are saying. I think the reason why she may feel stressed and anxious is because she's in the spotlight. So people are going to care just a little bit more about your personal life than anything else. I mean, you can keep your personal life private, of course, but because you're in the spotlight, you are going to get those questions. People are going to want to know why you have access to all these eligible bachelors. You know, you can go anywhere in the world and you're still single. And I've said this about women. You got women who have no kids. Financially, they're in a very good space. They have a, thriving career, but they can't find a man to settle with, And they will say, and there are women that will say, well, it's because men are jealous. The men are envious. They don't like a woman doing better than them. I don't necessarily agree with that. I just think that it depends on your expectations. It depends on you being self-aware and knowing who you are. Now, back to the article. So Watson said she struggles with the pressures of securing a perfect life, and the same goes for her love life. The Little Woman actress says she sees no downside in being single as she approaches 30. She even has a term for people who are happy just being in a relationship with themselves and not committing to one person, which I call it just, going through a phase. Maybe she has been going through a bit of a thought phase for a while, and it's affected her careers. Trust me, when women are promiscuous, it affects their relationships. I say their relationships. Look at Kendall Jenner. Kendall Jenner is in the prime of her life, and she can't stay in a stable relationship because she's very promiscuous. She has messed around on the guys that she has dated. I mean, they've messed around on her too, but she has publicly done this. They get in these phases, and they will publicly date a guy, but then they'll be dealing with other guys because they're going through that thought phase, and they're really trying to still figure themselves out. They've dealt with men who have money. They've dealt with men who don't have money. They've dealt with men who they're making money, but they're not rich like that. So they dealt with men from different sides of the spectrum. So they get even more confused, okay, to where they're 29, approaching 30, and they're like, oh my God, I'm still single. Let's see. I am dating, as in not one specific person, but I am going on dates. My friends are really good at setting me up, Watson explained. Even things that haven't worked out romantically. Some of my best friends are people I've gotten set up on a date with, which means she's friend zoned them until further notice. Some of these guys, they go on dates with these chicks, man, and they get friend zoned until further notice. She might see potential in them, so she'll put them in the friend zone until she's done dealing with this other guy. Because let me trust and believe this. And I said this years ago. No woman is single. When a woman isn't publicly with somebody, there's always somebody in the background she's dealing with all the time. The person that they trust, the person they rely on, the person when they, when they're they feeling a little, anxious at the middle of the night, they can call that person, do what it do. Women always got those type of people. I know men do too, but women always got 2 or 3 guys that do that. They have guys who can be sort of like the emotional portion of their life. They got a guy who can be maybe financially. You have a guy who can fix things for them, a guy who they just, screw every now and then. No strings attached. There's always those guys. So women are never really single. They'll say they're single. They'll say that they're self-partnered, but the reality is somebody's knocking it down when it needs to be knocked down. Okay. She goes on to say, never believe the whole I'm happy single spiel. She added, I was like, this is totally spiel. It took me a long time, but I'm very happy being single. I call it being self-partnered, whatever that means. In 2014, Gwyneth Paltrow used the term conscious uncoupling to describe her breakup with ex-husband Chris Martin. Had even Hollywood veterans scratching their heads and reaching, metaphorically, at least for a dictionary. The Oscar winner and Goop founder recently explained that the now infamous term became the catalyst for much of the stress she endured following disillusion of her marriage. I was in a lot of pain. It was so difficult. It felt like such a failure to me. It was so hard, and I was so worried about my kids, Paltrow explained. Then there was a whole other layer of the world turning on us, because I believe that's what fame does. You know, when you have fame involved, you're gonna have situations where you're going to be judged more than you would want to be. But that's the price of fame. That's the price of wanting to be in the spotlight. You're going to be scrutinized. People are going to look at your life and they're going to want to mirror themselves after you, especially if you have fans. And I'm pretty sure that Emma Watson has fans. You know, she went on to admit that she might have used the phrase too early in the culture for people to fully appreciate it. And she thinks she triggered a lot of people who were the sons and daughters of acrimonious divorces, or people in the middle of acrimonious divorces. Okay. Watson told British Vogue, said that her immense fame and accolades at such a young age led her to seek therapy. She also questioned the decision to tap her to star in the Potter films at just 9 years old. So she's been in the spotlight for a long time. She never really had a childhood. I mean, she did up until about 9, but after she was 9, the Harry Potter films took off. Never really was able to grow and progress and make mistakes. If I'm not mistaken, I believe she decided to go to the University of Brown University, when she turned 18. I believe I don't know if she graduated from Brown. I don't know if she dropped out, but I do remember that. If I'm wrong, y'all can correct me in the comment section, but I believe she enrolled in the Brown University, I believe. But I just think Emma is like a lot of women these days. They've fed into this feminist BS, and now they're single and alone, and they don't really know how to navigate society these days. And I think it's due to the fact that a lot of them just aren't ready to fully embrace the being single ideology. So a lot of them do end up seeking help. I think there are a lot more women who need to seek help and therapy. I think they need to really have conversations with themselves, because in our society, you know, women are taught to be strong, taught to be stronger than the dudes. You know, it's because they're trying to push a narrative and flip the gender roles. And I think that Emma is slowly but surely starting to figure out that she may have, you know, learned and embraced the wrong type of ideology.